It's a player preference, honestly. Let's be real, a lot of the tape, even that you see on the field here, is just, we call it show tape. It's just for color and to give it a little flair. But all in all, we don't have a lot of guys that really tape in major leagues. I don't know, it's just player preference. Some guys like it and some guys don't. There may be a guy who's dealing with an ankle injury, and we tape his ankle to give him extra support, and the second his ankle feels better, he'll be like, I don't like having the tape. There's some guys that have one small ankle injury, and they tape their ankle for the rest of their career because they like it. It's really just on comfort and feel. I'm never going to change the guy's routine. We have some guys who ice after they throw, and a lot of guys who don't. If that's a player's personal preference, I'm not going to change them. I believe there are better ways to recover than ice. A lot of it's active recovery, and there's other types of devices we use that promote recovery. But if a player's routine is to ice, I'm not going to change them to ice. We use ice typically for a new acute injury, or maybe something with a little bit of swelling. But we don't have a whole lot of guys who really ice their arms anymore. It used to be definitely a way of the past where more people ice their shoulders, their elbows after throwing, but we have fewer and fewer guys that actually ice now. Weigh-in ices after he throws, but we do a lot of active recovery prior to the ice. I think it's just part of his routine, probably for weigh-in that he uses, but he does a lot of active recovery before and after icing as well. Initially, when they come off the field, they work with a strength and conditioning coach. They go to the weight room and they do typically like their shoulder routine, and then get some cardio in for a flush. After that, then they'll come in the training room. We do a specific set of shoulder exercises after they throw, and then we'll do some type of manual therapy as well after they throw. And typically massage and stretch as well as to wrap it up. And then we use two different types of active recovery systems that they can take home if they choose, or even for our flights. When we fly, a lot of guys are utilizing some active recovery stuff on the plane or in the hotel room after the game. We don't stop with the recovery because we know recovery is very important with the fact that we play so many games in baseball and so many pitchers have to throw every day. So we utilize all day, all night, as much as we can for active recovery, not only at the field, but away from the field as well. Dr. James Andrews is obviously the forefront of like all the elbow injuries, and he's done more and more elbow surgeries for Tommy John with younger and younger players for the last 20 years. It's gotten younger and more. He says it's directly related to baseball. Kids are only playing one sport. 30 years ago, kids played every sport. Football, basketball, baseball, everything. Now kids are specializing at such a young age, and they're putting more and more wear and tear on their shoulder and elbow, and this is creating more elbow injuries. That's why Little League has stepped in with innings limit, pitch limits at such a young age, because kids are just playing baseball year round. Especially where we live in Florida, you can play baseball 12 months out of the year. Kids aren't getting a break on their shoulder and elbow, and it's just creating injuries at a younger age. It happens even at the major league level, just when guys get tired. After a certain number of pitches, even with our guys, if you're throwing over 30 pitches in one inning, you're going to get fatigued. You're just not used to throwing that many pitches in an inning. So especially when you're factoring in a youth player who doesn't have very good mechanics probably to start with, as their pitch count builds up, their mechanics are going to get worse and worse. And that's going to change arm angle and put different stresses on the shoulder and elbow, and that's going to create a chance for injury. They try to tell kids to stay away from throwing breaking balls until they're in their teens. 14, 16 minimum, you should start throwing breaking balls because it puts so much wear and tear. But it's been shown now that actually fastballs may be creating more of an injury than the breaking balls. It really doesn't know. I think it's honestly just more related to the amount of throwing and the intensity of throwing. Guys are throwing harder now, even at the major league level, than ever before. There weren't as many Tommy Johns 40 years ago, but guys didn't throw as hard. Is it an intensity issue? Because guys threw more innings. In the 1970s, 80s, every pitcher was throwing 200 innings. Now, not very many pitchers even throw 200 innings now, but the intensity of how they're throwing is so much harder. Starters in the 70s and 80s, they started the game, they were going to finish the game. There's a famous quote from Nolan Ryan, like, it was a 4-man rotation, and then when he said, on my start day, I was the only pitcher that was going to pitch that day. So he's going to throw 150, 160 pitches. He didn't have an elbow injury until he was 46 years old, I believe. I mean, some of it may be genetics, but I also believe that intensity. Guys throw a lot harder now, and there's something to be said about how the stress they're putting on their arms now. And it's the same with kids. There's radar guns at every showcase baseball event for kids to get college scholarships or professional contracts. So kids at an early age have a radar gun behind home plate. So they're trying to impress scouts. They're trying to impress everybody coming to see them. So I think the velocity may play a bigger role than the breaking balls, honestly.